Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, senior editor at WeissRatings.com. He's speaking to us from Florida. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Sean, U.S. oil production, what's going on with it right now? Does it look positive?
Well, positive if you like higher prices, yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is that we are seeing oil production go lower and lower and lower. Right now, it's at the lowest that it's been since the outbreak of the pandemic. And the interesting thing is that the U.S. rig count just fell for the first time since March. So U.S. oil production is probably not going higher. They've been high grading the oil they have anyway. You know, I mean, when it came time to shut down wells, they shut down the ones that weren't producing that much. So the actual production per number of wells they had went up, even as oil production went lower. But now they're actually drilling less oil, even though in the U.S. oil is back over $60 a barrel, even though internationally it's something like 66. I'd have to look it up. But, it's really kind of crazy, that we are seeing U.S. oil production fall off so hard, and just stay down. I think people expected that once oil prices started to move higher again, we'd start to see oil production come back. But one thing might be is that U.S. oil producers now can see that OPEC Plus, which is OPEC Plus, the non-aligned, they call them non-aligned nations led by Russia, they seem to be the real swing producers in oil now. And so perhaps U.S. oil producers don't want to make the investment, thinking that, well, the Saudis could put us out of business next week. So maybe that's part of it. It's really hard to square, though, with the fact that we do have an economic rebound. If we have falling oil production, which we do, if we have fewer rigs, which we do, and if we have economic activity increasing, that is a recipe for higher oil prices.
And, of course, the U.S. is going into the so-called driving season soon, and people who have been vaccinated cannot wait to get out there and stretch their wings. If you can't
exactly.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a lot of driving, and RV sales right on all-time high. Try, renting or buying a nice motorhome right now. Good luck.
Yeah, well, my wife and I have talked about it. We think that we'll wait a year because there's probably a lot of old people who have bought RVs, and they're going to use them, and then they're going to sit, in a storage facility for months, and they'll finally say, this is not a good investment. That's when we're going to buy one.
But anyway, so the open road beckons, but with oil production down, what do you think that's going to do to prices? Because some people I've talked to say $80 a barrel. It seems pretty realistic.
That certainly seems likely. Now, one thing we should mention is that, at least in the U.S., oil prices have been trading in a range since early March. They've just been going sideways. We had that nice ramp up from late April of last year, Then it kind of went sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. So maybe this sideways price action could continue for longer before things take off again. That's kind of the interesting thing is we don't know exactly when this will actually happen. I see forces in play that do point to the way to higher oil prices, but it doesn't have to happen soon. There can be other forces in the market which actually delay the move.
Iran, of course, is probably the loose cannon at the moment. There seems to be a lot of undiplomatic diplomacy going on. Is that a major factor here in prices?
Probably not, because people price in craziness with Iran anyway. One thing that is in there is that everyone expected Libyan oil production to go down, but Libya just came out and said, we're actually going to exceed our quotas. So they're kind of a wild card. No one really knows what's going to happen there. They have intermittent warfare between different factions in the government. So things can be taken offline rather quickly there, but it's an oil-rich nation. They can bring stuff back online pretty quickly too. So, it's just more chaos, and chaos tends to be bullish for oil also.
There's this debate going on, inflation, hyperinflation versus deflation. Where do you sit?
I sit at, we're having 4% inflation this year. That's where I sit. Now, that's higher than the official inflation figure, and I just saw a guy on TV this morning. He was either from a big Wall Street firm, or it had something to do with the government. I'm sorry, I just tend to tune in and out. But what he said is that, we may hit 2% inflation briefly this year, but it won't last. But here's the thing. I mean, when you look at things like food and housing and copper and aluminum and steel and all that stuff, well, consumer price inflation is running at about 4% a year now, and it could get hotter. So I was just discussing this with my wife last night. We've been talking about buying a couch. And why are we waiting? The odds of the price of the couch going up are actually rather high. We don't like our current couch. Why don't we actually just buy the couch now so that the price doesn't go up $100? So, that's another thing that could play into it too, because even though we have had widespread vaccinations here in the U.S., and I know because I just took my 18-year-old son to be vaccinated, so at this point they're vaccinating anybody, because, 18-year-olds, they're in the prime of their life, they don't have any health risk issues. If they're vaccinating them, pretty much anyone can actually get the vaccine at this point. So, but there are still plenty of people that aren't going out and stuff like that. That could change this summer. And maybe around the 4th of July when they're talking about opening up a lot of stuff again. And so people who have money saved up are going to spend it. That's going to be really inflationary when that happens.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, the White House says it wants to make the U.S. power grid, 80% clean power in just 9 years? Is that possible, and how big of a cut, and what kind of a financial hit are power consumers going to take when instead of cheap affordable forms of fuel are used to generate power, you have to go to something that's riskier and more costly?
Well, there's nothing cheaper than solar and wind now. That's the thing. Now, the storage is another matter. I mean, you have to add storage in order to use wind and solar properly. So that raises your expenses a bit. Right now, I'm not sure what metrics they use. Do they include nuclear? Do they include natural gas? But right now, the White House says that 40% of the U.S. has quote-unquote clean power. So getting to 80% is not that much of a stretch, really, especially if you look at the way that we're building solar and wind projects. And if we build batteries to go along with them, that's actually quite within the realm of possibility. And also the whole power industry wants to cut emissions quite a bit. So that could be part of it as well by removing coal, right, which is heavy in emissions. So what they probably want is they probably want government money to phase out coal more quickly. And if they get that, then they can really accomplish two for the price of one. They will get more renewable energy and at the same time have lower emissions just by doing a big coal phase out. Now, of course, that's not going to do anything about the coal power plants in India and China and stuff like that and other places around the world. But here in the U.S., it could make quite a difference.
What about the so-called battery metals like lithium? Is there enough to meet these goals?
Well, we just heard from down in Chile. They said they expect lower prices through the end of the year. Now, next year could be another matter because we are seeing more and more battery plants being built. So it'll be interesting. There is more supply coming on in Australia. So it's kind of a balancing act. I think that we'll have to see exactly how it plays out. This is also, by the way, one of the factors, a secondary factor on why, say, the price of copper is going higher, because copper is used in electric vehicles. So, but of course it's used much more in so many industrial applications that really things for EV is a secondary demand for copper. But it is there. And as you know, prices are really made around the margins. So, right now, we aren't looking at a increase in prices in lithium, or I should say a big increase in prices in lithium through the end of the year. But after that, anything could happen. And the way the stocks are acting, I think that people are realizing there's so much more potential there.
Uranium, anything going on with there if that's considered clean?
My stocks are generally up, but they're also generally going nowhere. So, happy to be in them. I believe the story. I believe the long-term story. I think uranium prices are going much higher. Apparently not yet, so I don't really know what to make of it. We keep hearing and being promised that the price of uranium will just take off, and maybe so, but it's still trading between $28.50 and $29. It was over $31 not too long ago, so the price has actually come down in the short term. It should be over 35. The last time it was over 35 was I want to say I don't really know, so I'd rather not stick my foot in my mouth. But just looking at the price of uranium, it should be higher. I believe in the long-term uranium story. And we are seeing some positive price action in some of the stocks. The fact that Cameco brought on, or I should say restarted one of its mines, that kind of weighed on uranium a bit. But we'll just have to see how that goes.
What's going on with gold before we go?
I think gold has bottomed. It's pulling back today. So trying to make a liar out of me once again. But looking at the price action, it looks like gold put in a recent bottom and the momentum has shifted to the upside.
Sean, thank you so much, and we'll chat in a couple of weeks.
Thanks. I will talk to you later.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, editor of voiceratings.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.